G'day guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back for another episode of Wasteland Survival. So in last week's episode I got started on the Railgun turret, although there were a few limitations with the way that I had designed it, and so this episode I want to kind of focus on fixing a lot of the issues that this turret had. So obviously the main issue was the fact that you couldn't really get too much elevation on this turret. So if an enemy happens to spawn right up in the air, then there's not really too much this turret can do about it. It can only really fire on something about, you know, this high. So yeah, there's definitely that I want to kind of fix. And I think I have a few ideas on how to fix that. So I am kind of happy with this whole bit that we have going on the top here, although one thing it does kind of leave open to exposure is this kind of side part here, and I kind of want to enclose this side part here with something, with some armor pieces, just so that, you know, it's a little bit more protected on the side. Well, not so much protected, because I think like the railguns have enough kind of like they've got enough protection themselves, because they have a lot of components in them. I mean, you can see 300 steel plates, 60 large steel tubes, 100 power cells, 100 computers. Yeah, there's quite a few components in these, so I think they could withstand, you know, a shot or two each. But I kind of feel like we have this piece up at the top that kind of goes around the turret, but we don't really have anything that goes to the sides of the turret, so that's something that I kind of want to address. But before we can do anything, obviously I need to go and refill my hydrogen tanks, so I will quickly do that. Okay, so I've refilled all my hydrogen, so now we can get started on, yeah, kind of trying to figure out this turret. And I really hope that they have fixed the freezing issue in this game. I did notice that shortly after I recorded the last episode and I experienced some massive what was it? Sim speed drops, that they seem to have fixed the issue. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to find the rotor, so the railgun drive rotor, and I'm going to reverse this so that the turret is straight, and then we can kind of get working on this this last piece here. So I'm thinking I might just get rid of, well, I'll weld this piece here up for now. I really did like the beam blocks that kind of went this way and then around and then from the back there, but again it kind of really didn't, it just really didn't work. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get rid of this block, and potentially maybe we'll get rid of this block here as well. Yeah, that was probably not so good. So let's place one of these blocks here so that it kind of covers the back of this gun a little bit. And I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some blocks here like this. So we will do that. So let's weld all these up so that I can then collect these steel plates here. Fantastic. Okay. And then what I think I will do is I'll place a half block here. So we'll do that, and then we will weld that up. And then from there, I think what I can do is I can grab these little corner pieces here, place one there, and then place one there like that. And we'll weld those two up. And then I'll grab a little corner flat piece, like one of these, half slope light armor block. And then from there we can kind of start building out the side of the turret as well. So I would like it to have a little bit of shape, like maybe down that way or maybe this way here. But I'm thinking what I do really want to do is cover this this conveyor junction port, not only because I think it's like, I don't know, the only reason I really want to cover that is because it's kind of ugly and I just want to get rid of it. So I think what we can do here is we can maybe place in one of these blocks here. So we can go like that maybe, but if I do that then it'll go diagonally down. So maybe instead what I can do is I can place in a block like that there, and then from there what we can do is we can place in another corner piece that goes like that. So that's pretty much where I want it to go. And then it kind of looks like I've got this wide area here, and then I've got the guns kind of sticking out like that, and I think that looks pretty good.
Energy
So
low.
I think what I'll do here as well is I'll place in a block like that, and then a block like that. No, like that, thank you. And what can I put here that will kind of bridge the gap? So I think I've only really got one option here. I can use one of these blocks here that goes like that. Okay, so that's not too bad. And then in this area I can put in a half block again, like that. So we can do that. And then what can I place here? So here I think I've got, so here I would want to place one of these blocks. Or I could go something like this. I could place two of these blocks here. So we could do that. Or the other option I think I've got here is I could do something like this. Let's grab one of these blocks. So I could place a block like that, and then a block like that. So I'm really not sure which one I like. I think this one looks a little bit too chunky, if I would say. So maybe instead I might go for this style here, like this. And then it kind of looks chunky at the top and then kind of moves down in the center, and then it has a nice kind of shape here as well. So now what I want to do is kind of bridge the gap between this area here. So I don't think I'm going to place anything here. Well, obviously I can't anymore because these blocks are here. So I'm thinking maybe what we can do is grab one of these blocks here and place that there. And then we can grab a block like that, except we have to spin that around. And then we can grab the same block on the other side, which is one of these sloped corner light armor tips. And we can weld those up. Now the only problem with this kind of setup is I'm going to need to move the turret to a full 90 degrees so that I can then grind away this camera and grind away this block and just replace it with a half block. So the question is, can I actually get this thing to go a full 90 degrees? So let's find our rotor, so the Railgun drive rotor, and let's reverse that and see what kind of elevation we can get out of this kind of setup. So I'm hoping it's a lot bigger than what it was before. See, I don't think that's too bad. That's a pretty decent elevation, but it still won't allow me the ability to get rid of this block and then replace it with something else. Or will it? Let's grind these blocks away. Let's get rid of this camera. I'm going to have to get rid of this block. And this block as well. And this one too. And this one too. And then I think what we can do is we can place in a half block. And then hopefully from there it will allow me to add a camera, which it will not because the turret is not vertical. So what I'm going to have to do is get rid of all this stuff at the back just so that I can put my camera there. Okay, it seems like I can't because I've got these blocks here. So let's get rid of this block, and then it should go full vertical and allow me to place in my camera. I just kind of undone a lot of the work that I just did for this thing, but I think it's the only way I'm going to be able to do that. So what we'll do is we'll place down our camera here, which now it will actually let us do that. And funnily enough, it seems like... Oh yeah, of course I have the components because I ground down the old one, didn't I? Now, the thing is, what blocks do I need to put on the other side of this? I think here I need to place in some half blocks. So yeah, this is kind of musical blocks at this point, but I guess, yeah, I kind of have to do it this way because in survival there's just no way to place these blocks without them hitting something else. Okay, so now all those blocks there at the front are sorted out. So what I'll do is I'll go in here and we'll find our rotor again, and then we'll reverse it one more time. So let's reverse that, And then here what I need to do is place in a block like that. And then I need to place in a block the same on the other side. And
no energy.
Yeah, no energy. So I'll be back once I've got more energy. Okay, so got myself some more energy, so let's continue on with the build. Now, what I was going to do is place one of these blocks like that, very similar to what I had before, and we can place those in. And then from here, I will need to get a little bit more creative. So what I want to put in here is maybe one of these blocks here, but you can see that that half block kind of doesn't match up. So what I'm going to have to do is get rid of that half block and hope that I can place something in its place. So maybe we'll have to go with one of these, and it looks like I can place that down. Fantastic. Okay, so then what we do is we grab our light armor tips and then we place them down there, and I think that's about as good as it's going to get. It's not perfect. It's I would like there to be more coverage here at the back, but there's just not really too much else I can really do with that. So what we'll do is we'll do the same thing on this side, get rid of that, and then what we'll do is we'll place in a block like this there. Fantastic. Okay, so all I need to do from this point is kind of replicate this same design on the side of the railgun itself to be on this side as well, and then I think it kind of looks a bit more like a turret. With it kind of ending here, it just really didn't look like an enclosed turret. It kind of looked like my own creation, which is fine and all, but I kind of wanted it to look a little bit more vanilla. So the only thing now is I want to kind of place in some blocks here, and I could just go with the standard old blocks that I've done before, very similar to what I've got at the front here. But I would like to protect these rotors a little bit more, because as you can see, these blocks here only have 3 steel plates, so it's not really, yeah, it doesn't really offer that much protection. So what I could do is place in some blocks like maybe this, or I could place in some blocks like that there maybe, but then of course I would need to place in some blocks there. So maybe we could do these ones here like that. So we could do something like that, and then that kind of looks actually pretty good. And then we grind this away and this away as well. But then I kind of need to bridge the gap between all these blocks here. So I need to do something like that, which I suppose from a frontal perspective it doesn't look too bad, although maybe it does. Yeah, I would really like it to just go like that. That would be ideal for me. So can I place in some blocks like maybe this one here? No, I can't, because yeah, again, it's kind of not working for me. So maybe instead what we could do is place in these blocks. So we could do something like that, and then we could get rid of these. I do really like the way that they kind of go outwards though. I mean, that really does look quite good. So maybe what we could do is place some blocks in here like this, and then at the front here we could just go with like a half block. So maybe something like this, and let's weld this up and see how that looks. Yeah, I think it doesn't look too bad, but then the only thing is it doesn't really match the base, so there is that too. And then I've got to go ahead and replace this block here as well, and like I said, it doesn't really match the base. So I don't know, I really don't know which way I want to do that. And also what I would really love to do is maybe put some plates over these rotors as well, just so that they're kind of a little bit more protected. But yeah, I'm not sure. One thing I am sure about is that what I want to do is I probably want to replace all of these blocks here with heavy armor. So that's going to take me a little while, because obviously I need to be careful not to break the connection between these two railguns, otherwise I'm going to have to merge block them back together again. So I think what I'll do is I'll go off camera and I'll replace all of these blocks with heavy armor blocks, just so that they offer a little bit more protection than what they did before, and then we'll see how everything looks after that. So I'll be back in a moment once all this stuff is replaced with heavy armor. Alright guys, welcome back. So I have gone ahead and I've changed all these blocks up here to heavy armor, and you can kind of see that here. So it took me a little while. There's quite a few steel plates and metal grids in these blocks. The only ones I haven't changed is the ones underneath here, and perhaps I will go through and change them a little bit later. But also you might notice that I've changed the base a little bit. So I kind of felt like the base, especially up here near the rotors, just didn't offer the rotors themselves any kind of protection whatsoever. So I feel as if this does, but at the same time, this design here at the front, it kind of looks too bulky for the base. So what I've tried to do here at the back, and I do notice that the game is dropping sim speed quite a lot still, so that is really annoying, but we're just going to have to kind of bear with it. So as I was saying, at the back here, what I've tried to do is something a little bit different. So I don't know, it kind of looks like a TIE fighter here at the back, and then maybe perhaps what we can do is we can put in some blocks like this, like here and you know, there and there, and then put in some, you know, 2x1 tips here. But the one thing I'm not certain about is if the gun itself can actually traverse downwards past this point here. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of test that. So I do like this design because it's a balance of bulkiness, protection, and kind of fitting with the base, I would say. This kind of setup here, this does fit with the base. Like this angle here fits with the base, this angle here fits with the base, but like I said, if you look at it from this angle, the base kind of looks way too bulky for the stand that it's sitting on, and matter of fact, so does the turret, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here and we're going to reverse the rotor and just see how this thing looks. And it looks like the rotors are in the right position here. So yeah, this is kind of what I feared. So let me, I think I actually, you know what? I have another idea. So let's reverse this rotor one more time. Maybe what we could do here is we can get rid of this stuff here, right? And then we can put in some of these new blocks. Well, I guess they're not new. They've been in the game for ages. I keep calling them new because, to me, they're new because I've been playing this game for so long. So we could use these blocks. But again, you know, they kind of leave the rotors to open to attack. So I don't know if I really like that either. And then you have this really big flat piece. I mean, yes, you do have this flat piece here, but at the same time, this flat piece here is smaller than this flat piece here. And I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but flat is your enemy. So, well, I guess with that design, let's kind of see what it looks like if we reverse this rotor, and let's see how high this turret can actually go with that design. So it can go relatively high. I dare say, honestly, it can probably go higher than this. I need to test that out, actually. Let's reverse this as well. Let's reverse it again. Let's get rid of this block, this block, this block, and then let's place in one of these, and then one of these here. These are really difficult to orientate, these blocks here. Well, I guess because I don't use them too often, that's probably why it's so difficult for me to orientate those ones correctly. So honestly, that's pretty much the same. So I think we are going to have relatively the same elevation as what we had just prior. So it's probably not the same elevation as what I had before, like with with the previous blocks. So what do we have here? We have an elevation of 58 degrees. It is really not fantastic. It's not fantastic, but it's not too bad. And to be honest, if it went down any further, it's probably going to hit these blocks here. Let's see what it was like before. So let's reverse this. So we got 58 degrees out of that. So let's go ahead and get rid of this block, this block, this block. Be careful not to grind out these conveyors, otherwise the whole thing is going to fall on a heap in the ground. So what we had before was that, and then one of these. So let's see what the elevation is like when we do that. So the elevation looks a lot steeper than what it was before. So let's just check this out and see what it's like. So we have another 10 degrees worth of elevation. So maybe I can find a way to get the front and the back to kind of meet up somehow. So what I would need to do is get rid of this block here, place in one of these, just a regular square block, and that is fine, that's fine. And then perhaps we can find a block that will bridge the gap between these two blocks. So will this block be the block that will do it for us? Yes, it looks like that will be the block that will do that for us. So maybe we can do a bit of a hybrid approach. Let's get rid of that. I'm trying to be really careful here not to, grind away the stuff that I actually want to keep. Now here, we're going to have to compromise and go with a block like that, just to gain the kind of elevation that I want to gain. But I kind of suspect that the majority of the fire that is going to be thrown at this thing will kind of be at the front. So I feel like the front needs to be more heavily armored than the back. And obviously we have it kind of exposed at the top here, but I think what I'm going to do is grind this back, put this into a vertical position, and then put two more armor panels here and here and here. And then also what I plan to do is also replace all of these blocks here with heavy armor as well. So the only thing I need to kind of sort out at this point is what I am going to do about these legs. So now what I need to do is kind of figure out a way to make this base look a little bit more bulky to kind of match the top bulk of the turret, if that makes sense. So I think the easiest way I could kind of do that is to get rid of these blocks here, and then perhaps what we can do is just replace these with simply just these blocks, not these blocks here, these ones, just the light armor tips. Not sure if I want to replace the base blocks with heavy armor as well. I think I'm pretty happy with those being light armor. So that actually doesn't look half bad. It still does have a fair bulk at the top compared to the bottom. I guess what I could do is, because this base platform here isn't kind of set in stone, one thing I could do is I could make the base itself 2 blocks tall. So instead of having all these blocks here on the bottom, what I could do is make this portion here 2 blocks tall, and then I could also make this 2 blocks tall, and then instead of this here, we could have something like one of these blocks. Maybe we could go with one of these blocks here that goes like that, and then that will be my base. But I guess that's something that I've got to kind of figure out. But I think for the moment, what I will do is I am going to place some steel plates up here, but I will probably go ahead and replace these steel plates with heavy armor steel plates. I will replace all of these blocks here with heavy armor steel plates as well, or heavy armor, And then I'll also do the back with heavy armor. The back doesn't really line up with the whole base thing that I've got going on here, but I still think, you know, it doesn't look too bad. Yeah, I really do think I am going to make this base 2 blocks tall, because it kind of just doesn't look right. And look, to be honest with you guys, none of this stuff even matters. Like, it is all, you know, for me, I always try and make things look as good as possible. Everything that I make can be functional, but I always try and go that extra mile to make something functional but then also look good at the same time, and that's what I always strive to do. So, you know, you can just get away with a very simple setup here, but I'm trying to go for something that looks as cool as it is functional. So, alright, well, I'll be back once I've replaced a lot of these blocks with heavy armor, and then I think, you know, the turret design is pretty good. I think I'm quite happy with that. Alright guys, welcome back. So I have been messing around with this whole setup for quite some time, and you might notice a few changes at the back of these railguns. So previously what I had here was some of these blocks here, these little tips on the side here, and then basically just some 2x1 base, 2x1 slopes. But yeah, I basically ran into a problem where they were kind of interfering with these blocks here on the side, and I thought perhaps it was the reason for that was the fact that, you know, these had been changed to heavy armor blocks. But even when I went ahead and I replaced them all with light armor blocks, and then also these blocks here, they were still kind of causing interference. And then also I ran into another issue where when I went ahead and I actually replaced those blocks with these heavy armor panels, then they started interfering with these legs. So suffice to say, I have been messing around with this thing for a good hour or two, and yeah, I'm actually quite disappointed. I was really happy with the way that the design was before, but unfortunately it just doesn't work with the block collisions the way that they are in the game at this point in time. So this is basically the best that I can get. Now I have limited the rotor, the elevation rotor, to 70 degrees, so it's still 20 degrees off getting fully vertical, but I mean, I guess, you know, the control tower is kind of in the way anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. I would really love this thing to get to 90 degrees, but in order to do that, what I'm going to have to do is grind away all these blocks and then basically replace them with something else, or just get rid of them entirely. And then that would kind of make the back of the turret look really flat and boring. So I don't know, is it worth a sacrifice of 20 degrees? Time will tell. I guess I'll just kind of have to wait until something attacks the base before I can kind of get to that point. And then also the other issue I kind of faced is when I went ahead and I actually placed in these armor panels here, then what was occurring was they were kind of interfering with these legs here. And then also you can kind of see that they will also interfere with these beam blocks as well. So what I ended up having to do was raise the rotor above so that they would then clear. The only way to kind of get away from this is to grind these blocks back and then leave the railguns completely exposed at the back, which is aesthetically, it's not really what I want to do, but I don't know, maybe I'm gonna have to do it. But you know what, I am tired of adjusting this whole turret to try and get it to work as best as it can, and you know what, I'm calling it quits, and I'm just gonna sort it out in terms of the base and the platform that it actually sits on. So with all that in mind, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get rid of these blocks, all these blocks in between, because as I said before, this is going to be the base of the turret itself, and the rest of the stuff we can get rid of. So let's get rid of all this stuff here. This stuff, do I get rid of that block? Yeah, we get rid of that block too. This one, And then we will do the same on this side as well. Being very careful not to grind this block, because if I do, then all my hard work will go down the drain. So I definitely don't want to do that. Alright, so this is going to kind of form our base of the turret itself. So what I need to do from here is obviously go and weld all these blocks up here. With exception to this block here. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to join it here, and then I'll get rid of these two, and I want to get rid of this block here, because what we want to happen here is we want to put a conveyor junction in at that point. But first, before I think about that, I should probably weld up all of these blocks that kind of form the leg of the turret itself. Let's place these blocks down and get these welded up at least. And then we can kind of get the base of our turret sorted out. So then from here, what we want to do is go ahead and place in these blocks here. So we can place those like that, and this one here like this. And let us take a bit of a step back and see how that looks. Yeah, you know, it doesn't look absolutely 110% fantastic, but it looks better than what it did before. But I think maybe we could even expand this lower part out a little bit to make it just that tiny touch more robust looking on the bottom side. So perhaps what we could do here is we could add in one of these blocks there and there, and do the same on all of these sides. So all three sides, well, all four sides I should say. So let's place those there. And now the question is, what do I place here? So I think perhaps I will put a beam block junction in the bottom here on all sides, except what I'll do is I'll place it like this so that the rivets are showing on the outside. So you can kind of see if I place it this side, then the rivets are on the other side. So I'll spin this around once more, like, hang on, let's see where the rivets are when I weld this block up. So they are there. So what I want to do here is grab the rivets and make sure they are showing on that side, which is like that. That's about as good as it's gonna get. So let's weld all this up, and then let's see how that looks from a little bit of distance. Right, so everything is welded up, and yeah, I think that looks a tiny touch better. Perhaps what I could do instead of these blocks is put in some of these blocks here. So maybe just some 45-degree slopes. That is not the block I am looking for. Maybe something like that. Now, yeah. Actually, you know what? Perhaps that is the way that I'm going to go. I think maybe, you know, like, it does have a bit of balance between the base and the turret itself. So now the turret base is actually wider than the turret itself, which, you know, that kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? So I think that doesn't look too bad. And in fact, perhaps what I can do, if the game ever stops freezing on me, what I could do maybe is replace these blocks here with something like this. So we could do something like that. Actually, perhaps get rid of that there and replace it with one of these blocks here. Yeah, you know what? I don't mind that too much. I think that looks pretty cool. I do think it looks a little bit better than just having these two levels of these beam blocks here. and at the same time it kind of looks like it is supported by these beam blocks here. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to go with that setup. Alright guys, welcome back. So as you can see, I have kind of created a little platform on the bottom of the turret to kind of hold it up. I think what I am going to do is make this platform 2 blocks tall. So what we'll probably end up doing is making some blocks that kind of taper inwards at the bottom. And then perhaps I'll make it similar on the bottom of the control tower here where I've got this little part here. But I think before we do that, I kind of want to change the color of this turret here. So the control tower itself was kind of like, you know, this, what is it, the battered armor texture. But I think what I want to do is make this, this texture for the floor itself to be I can't remember what this texture is called, but the dirty texture. So I want to do that, and then also what I want to do is make the turret basically the same color as all of the other turrets here. So what I'm going to do is just grab this color here. So let's grab the color for this turret. So we'll do that, and then what I'll do is I will recolor this turret here. Now, because these are subgrids, what I can do here is I can go Control Shift middle mouse button click, and it should only change the color of that subgrid there. And then if I do the same thing here, then it should also change just that subgrid there. So yeah, we can see that looks pretty good. But the only problem is if I go Control Shift P on, or Control Shift middle mouse button click on this platform here, then what it's going to do is recolor the entire base, and that is exactly what I do not want to happen. So I think what I'll do is, maybe what we can do here is we can just hold Shift and then recolor all this stuff. Yes, it is going to recolor a whole bunch of stuff that I don't want to, but what we can do is we can change the color of that stuff later. So let's recolor all of this stuff. Okay, fantastic. So that's pretty much what I want it to be. Let's just check underneath here, and yeah, so far I think it looks pretty good, although we need to adjust the color here. So what I'm going to do here is change the color to this color, and I want the base to be, yeah, obviously this color here. So let's go ahead and change all of that. Okay, well, everything is recolored now, so everything underneath here is this, oh, with the exception to this block, is this kind of dirty armor texture. So I think so far it's looking pretty good. I am reasonably happy with the platform, although I suppose we could mix up this turret coloring just a tiny bit. So I think here what I will do is I will select this color here. So let's select this color, and what I'm going to do is change all of these blocks here. And the game is still trolling me with this whole sim speed drop. I don't know what's going on. I suspect perhaps there is something wrong with, maybe there is a grid somewhere that's using a lot of PCU, and that is what is causing the issue, but I really need to kind of investigate that a little bit further. So let's recolor all of these blocks first, and then perhaps later on we can address that issue of the sim speed drops. I'm sure it is something to do with a yeah, with a ship somewhere, like maybe a spawned Reaver that's crashed and is just using a lot of PCU, and that's why it's, you know, we have all these sim speed drops. And perhaps it is even this turret, because to be honest with you, it only really started occurring once this turret was built. So it could even be that, but I would like to hope it is not, because yeah, if not, then we're kind of in trouble. So yeah, I think that actually looks pretty good. I'm really happy with the way that this turret turned out, with exception to these blocks at the back. Like, I really hope that I could have placed in these 2x1 tips at the back, but there just isn't much I can do about that. At least now, if we go into here and we find our rotor, and then I reverse this thing, so reverse that, at least now it can fully traverse upwards. so we at least have a decent elevation with the configuration that we have now. And also what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've locked the rotor at I think it was 70 degrees or something like that. Let's find our drive rotor. So yeah, you can kind of see that I've locked it at 70 degrees. I may change this to 71. It's not a big deal, but I guess, you know, it kind of gives us just that tiny touch more elevation. So what I'll do though is I will spin the base rotor around and just check that the gun can actually spin around freely, and it looks like it can. So we've got plenty of clearance here, and like I mentioned before, I had to raise the rotor in the center to kind of accommodate the fact that we have these armor plates on the back of the railguns, but I think, you know, it works out pretty well. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the way that the turret looks. And if we scoot on backwards, you can see that this thing is just absolutely massive. I am actually tempted to place another couple of these things around the base a bit, but one thing I'm not too sure about is this size of this platform here. As you can see, the legs of the turret itself kind of come out to this point here, to like the edge of the turret. So let's stop this rotor here though. I am kind of tempted to move the base platform that this turret sits on out by one block. So what we would need to do is select these blocks here and place some here like that. And then I think what I'll do is I'll get rid of these blocks here, these ones, and these ones as well. And I'll just kind of place the exact same blocks in the same positions, but just one block out further. What it will require though is us to add an additional 45-degree angle block there, which isn't too bad. So let's place in a block there and 2 blocks there. And then what we'll do is we'll place in a block like this here. So like that. And I think the platform being a little bit further out than the legs of the turret kind of makes sense. I mean, as always, let me know what you guys think. I always value your opinion. And I don't know if that looks right. I think maybe instead what we'll do is we'll get rid of these blocks. And then we'll just kind of place in our blocks like that. So we'll make the platform just a little bit bigger than what it was before. So let's, oh, I just noticed that block there is the wrong color. And then we just need to kind of do the same thing over on this side. So what did we have? We had one of these tips. No, not one of those tips. One of these bases here. And then we had one of these tips. And then from there we just had our regular light armor blocks. So, and it seems like these blocks are also the wrong color, which is fine, doesn't really matter too much. Alright, so let's weld all this up and then see how it looks after that. Okay, cool, so all the blocks underneath are now welded up, so now I think we can start welding up the second level. So what I'm going to do here is obviously just grab a whole bunch of steel plates. I actually had to go and manufacture... Oh, it looks like we're getting low on fuel actually. So what I'll do here is I will change out all of these bottles here that are empty, and we'll refuel our fuel, and now we should be good to go. I don't know. It looks a bit weird, to be honest with you. It kind of looked better the way it was before. But now we've got this weird shape, and I'm sure I don't need to tell you guys what it looks like, but I don't know. I don't know if I really like it. It does not look right, does it? Oh. Perhaps what I need to do here, and I will actually need to empty my inventory to kind of adjust this shape a little bit, but yeah, looking at it, it just, yeah, it does not look good, guys. It really does not. So let's get rid of these blocks here. And then also these blocks here as well. So those, and then we'll place another block here and another block there, and perhaps from here we can then go ahead and add in these blocks here like that. And then let's get rid of these 2 blocks here, put in our tips, so our 2x1 tips, which are these ones, like that. And then from there we can go ahead and place in our light armor blocks like this. So maybe something like that looks a little bit better. Ah, yes, that is 10 times better. It looks less like what it looked like before, and as I said before, I really don't need to explain to you guys what it looked like before. I'm sure you can gather what it looked like. So let's not withdraw all of the steel plates that we need to get this done, but I guess we will withdraw enough to get this portion of it done, because what I'm going to do is grind out this stuff here, and then we're going to need a little bit of space in our inventory to get rid of this stuff. Let's get rid of that one, this one, this one, and then from there, what did I say we were going to do? Place in a block there, and then place in our tip, which should be that way, but I'll just orientate it correctly while I'm at it. So let's place that there, and then spin this around, place it there, and then place it there. Grab our regular light armor block, and then from there we can place in our 45 degree like that. And let's weld this up and see how this looks. Okay, so that's all done. Yeah, much better. Much better. I think also what I need to do from here is get rid of these 2 blocks here. So these 2, place in a regular cubed block there, spin this around, place that there, and then do the same with the base, which should be like that. Weld those up.
Energy low.
And then go ahead and do the exact same thing on the other side. And I think, you know what? The base for this is now done. So what do we do here? Add a regular cubed block, spin this around, then grab our 2x1 tip, place that there, and then we go ahead and then we weld these up also. And yeah, that looks 10 times better. And then from here, what we can do is we can place in some blocks like this. So what I'll do is I'll grab, I think it's this block here that kind of coincides with this block. No, it's not. It would be this block here. So we need this block, then we need this block here, then from there we need one of these, I believe, and then from there we need one of these here. So place that there, and then basically from here we need a 45 degree angle block like this all the way along there. And then we basically just kind of replicate the whole setup as we did before. So then we spin these around and then place in our tip like this, and then our other block like this, like that. And then we just kind of do the same thing here, but except this block here will need to be one of these ones. So like that, and then I will just go around to the other side and place in the block exactly the same. And I think here what we need to do is place in one of these blocks perhaps. No, I don't need to place in one of those. So let's grab our blocks from this menu. So we've got a tip, then we've got one of these, then we've got one of these here, which goes like that there, and then we have our other block, which is one of these that goes like this, and then everything matches up. So now it kind of looks a little bit like the control tower here, but obviously it's different because it's like a platform holding up a gun, but you know, it kind of has the same aesthetic as what the control tower does as well. So I would actually really like to make use of these beam blocks here in some fashion, but I don't really know how I am going to do that. I'm sure I will figure it out, but for the moment I haven't really figured out what I'm going to use those beam blocks for, because I really do like the aesthetic that the beam blocks have, but sometimes it is hard to kind of place them in locations where it kind of makes sense, or in locations where it actually looks good. So what I need to do here though is leave this this hole here so that we can actually get to the large rotor, as you can see there. So what we're going to do is we're going to place in a conveyor junction there, and then possibly there, or perhaps what we'll do is this second layer of blocks, we will leave that free, and then I'll put a pipe underneath there, and then from underneath, oh, I can't get out, and then underneath that we'll have this set up, and then through these blocks you will be able to see the pipe itself. So it will be kind of heavily protected, although I don't really need it to be heavily protected, but it will make me feel better that it is reasonably protected. I keep saying heavily protected, but it's not really that protected, because, you know, at the end of the day, all this stuff is light armor, so, you know, there is only so much protection light armor can offer you. So then from here, what we'll do is we'll grab our 45-degree angle blocks like this one here, and then we will just go straight across like that, and then we will do the exact same thing here as well. And perhaps, like the control tower, what I can do as well to kind of dress up the top so that it doesn't look like a straight boring platform is we can place something here that kind of holds it up as well. Even though there will probably be something underneath that kind of holds up the turret platform, I should say. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll place all these blocks down, and then we'll get to welding and we'll get all this stuff done, and we'll see how it looks after that. Okay, so the platform is now done. I've actually disconnected it from the rest of the base, so currently this thing has no power. But you know, that's not really that important. I was kind of thinking about replacing these blocks here with the blocks underneath, although I'm not sure if I actually want to do that, because then what would happen is these blocks here would kind of line up with the other blocks, and it wouldn't kind of, I don't know. That's something I kind of want to check out a little bit later. But one thing I do really want to do is, what we're going to do is I'm going to get rid of this block here, and also I did go into the administrative menu and I removed a lot of like crashed Reaver ships and other various grids and things like that to try and help these sim speed issues that I've been having. But it seems like no matter what I do, there is nothing that I can do to kind of fix that issue. So we're just going to have to kind of live with these sim speed drops and pray that Keen Software notices that that is indeed an issue, and then goes ahead and replaces or fixes that issue. I don't know why I said replaces, but yeah, kind of fixes that issue. Now, anyway, the reason why I ground out those line of blocks is because, if you guys remember me telling you, what I want to do here is place in a conveyor junction here, another conveyor junction there, and then from there I want to place in a pipe that kind of goes underneath the floor here, and then on top of that, or below that, whichever way you want to look at it, I want to place in something like this that kind of looks like it is holding in that, holding the platform up. So what I'm going to do here is withdraw, I think it's like 2 conveyor junctions. We'll just withdraw, what? I do not have any small steel tubes. Really? Alright, well, no problems. We will manufacture 2,000 of those. No dramas. And no construction components. That is surprising. Although, I guess it's not really that surprising though, because I did run out of steel plates in between the last portion and this one. No, sorry. The last cut before this. Yeah, anyway, I ran out of steel plates at some point and I had to manufacture some more of those, but I do believe that if I have a look in my inventory, iron ingots, we should still have quite a few iron ingots. Yeah, 1.4 million iron ingots. So yeah, I kind of suspect that we have enough. And if we don't, then I would be very, very surprised. So let us go and place in a conveyor junction here. Now, which way is this thing orientated? Alright, so like that. Really doesn't matter because you're never going to see it, but it kind of matters to me, if that makes sense. And then we will place in one of these conveyor junctions here. And then from there, what we're going to do is grab our tubes. Is that fully welded up? Yes, it is. So grab our tubes, and then I will place a tube like this. Although, which color do I make this? I think perhaps I can make it the same color as the tubes over here. So I believe these were like an orange color or something like that. They were a little bit different to what this color is here. Yeah, it is a little bit different, although not too different. Maybe instead I could go for like maybe that color. Or even what I could do is maybe go for, let's say, like this dark grey color here. Which in fact is actually black in battered armor, but and you can see the turret is kind of spinning around in an infinite loop because there's no power to kind of stop it from spinning around like that. So then we'll place in one of these tubes, and then from here we'll just go for a standard conveyor pipe like so, and we'll place these all the way back. Now I think I may leave this last one, because what I'm going to have to do is drill a hole and then connect the rest of this stuff up to the rest of the conveyor system of the base. So let's get these pipes here welded up first of all. Cool, so the pipes are done, so now what we can do is we can go ahead and start laying out the rest of this structure. So what I want to do here is, do I want to make it exactly the same as this? You know, I think perhaps I may do that. So what do we have? We had half blocks here, I believe. Correct me if I am wrong, but I do believe that is what we had. And the question is actually, do I make this color? Yeah, let's make it this color, just for something a little bit interesting. So let's place in some half blocks here like this. Do the same over here. Then from there we will have our 2x1 tips. Yes. I know that my energy is low, but do I care? Not really. Well, I guess I will care when I start dying from a lack of energy, but at this point in time, I don't really care. Place those blocks there, like that. And then I believe I had one of these blocks here on either side, like so. Then what we had is one of these blocks here. No, we didn't have one of these blocks. From there, I believe we just had our regular blocks like this, but perhaps on this portion we can put in these ones here. Not there. Not there. Hang on. Like this, like this, and like this, and then finally like that. And then we can place in a regular half block like so. And then what we can do is place in our beam blocks, but we want the beam half block, something like this. Place all of those in there, so that then you can kind of see the pipe underneath. But again, I'm going to leave this portion free so that we can come back later and then drill the hole that we need for the conveyor pipe. I may need to create an area under here that kind of sticks out a little bit to kind of hide the hole that I've dug for that pipe, but I think we should be okay. Or even perhaps maybe this kind of setup will be enough to kind of cover the hole that I drill for that pipe. So I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see how that goes. So let us weld all this up. Okay, so everything is welded up, and I think that doesn't look too bad. We have a nice little platform happening. The turret is still spinning. Really not sure if I want to change this top portion here to be tapered, but you know what? I am going to give it a go. I am going to see what it looks like, and then after that I will kind of make my judgment from that point onwards. Okay guys, well that is one side complete, and I have to admit I do really like the tapered look. Although I believe I am about to create myself a boatload of extra work here. So I am happy with the platform, but I am not really happy with the thickness of it. You have this massive behemoth of a turret sitting on this platform that is 2 blocks tall. And I would really like to make use of these here beam blocks. I would really actually like to do that. So I think to that end, what I am going to do is extend this platform 1 block further down, which means I'm going to have to grind all these out. I'm going to have to grind this entire bottom platform out. I'm going to have to grind out all these plates, all these pipes, and everything in between. And then from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a lot of these beam blocks, and that is going to basically form the interior between this block here and this block here. And it's all going to be beam blocks. And I think, you know, even though it's going to create me a lot of work, I honestly think it is just going to look 10 times better. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's one of those things. You never really know how something is going to look until you get to the point where you're going to weld it up. And then after that, then you know how it looks and you decide, well, that looks terrible. So yeah, in the middle is going to be all beam blocks. And yeah, I've never really created an entire floor out of beam blocks, so this is going to be quite interesting. So anyway guys, I'm going to go away and grind all of this stuff away, add in the 3rd floor, or the 3rd layer I should say, to this platform, and then we'll kind of see how everything looks at that point. So I will see you in a moment. Alright guys, well I'm back and I have finished the top half at least, well the top and the middle section of this little platform that's holding up the turret. So all I need to do now is basically finish off the bottom, and I know I said I was going to get that done, but I think I've got a few plans and for underneath this area here, so I'll probably leave it the way it is for now, and then in the next episode we can kind of get all that done. But anyway guys, that is pretty much everything I have for you in this episode of Wasteland Survival. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you in the next episode. And if you liked it, then please consider leaving a like, and don't forget to subscribe so that you do not miss another episode. Alright guys, I will see you next time.